The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get.
He missed the complete. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags her.
Welcome to the Autodromos Jose Carlos Pache, better known as Interlagos, and you're getting ready to watch the first annual GSRC All-Star Invitational, brought to you live, where else but on the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm your host, Joe Peak. With me in the booth today is the Master of Analysis, Mr. Kevin Brown. Welcome, Kevin.
Thanks, Joe. Getting excited to watch a lot of great drivers here today.
Me too. Also with us is one who hails from the mitten of the north, Mr. Brian Corwin. Glad to have you, Brian.
Thanks for having me, Joe. I'm looking forward to this one, and happy birthday to the GSRC.
Happy birthday indeed. And behind the scenes is our director, Giancarlo Lenzi, hands at the ready to send the cameras toward every bit of action on track. Now, even though this track is somewhat new to iRacing, Brian, it's been around for quite a while, even though this latest version has only been in existence for, I believe, about 30 years now.
Yeah, Interlagos, as it's also known as, is one of my favorite tracks on the service. It's very tricky and technical. The track length is about 2.676 miles. It features 15 turns, including 2 almost identical right-handers that are very tricky. You got to get those entries just right, and then hopefully apex, and that's going to be a really good time to overtake on this track. And then the race today will be about 30 laps long, so we're looking at a good hour of racing here, Joe.
Yeah, and these guys also hail from all over, from not only the world, but in various different series that we, in fact, broadcast. And we're going to get to that in a moment, talk to a few of the league organizers and what's so distinct about these series that these guys come from. But in the meantime, as they're doing their qualifying laps, we're going to get a feel for what it's like going around here in the roof track car. So let's pull up that lap guide and get a view. All right, let's do a lap around Road Atlanta's short course with Richard Losper behind the wheel. All right, let's do a lap around Interlagos with Kevin Brown behind the wheel of the GSRC roof. Coming up towards turn 1, it's one of 2 very good passing zones on this course. Curved braking zone and a deceptively late apex, so it's a little bit tricky. Want to straighten out 2 and then get on the power and stay on it all the way through Curva del Sol, hug that inside curve, and track out for the back stretch. This leads you down to 4, which is the other good passing opportunity. You're going to see a lot of guys try to make dives into here, but it's also so easy to get greedy around here. You're going to see guys go off into that paved runoff, which really doesn't punish you too much. Then on down, leading towards 6 and 7. With these corners, the goal is to get the car rotated in 6 and set up for 7. Because once again, you want to be able to stay on the gas up over this crest. Stay to the left for 8. And now you're into a series of very technical S's, so set up for each subsequent corner. Going to have oversteer through 9 here, you see Kevin have to correct. And then on into the duck spill. Now with here, you're going to have to sacrifice your exit a bit, but it doesn't matter because you're going to want to stay flat to the floor once again through 11, and it's very tricky to make it happen. It's just a little bit of a lift for Kevin there, and then it's on into 12. Now with this corner, stay off of that inside curve. You can see Kevin starts to get the car unsettled, and it just pogos all over. And you got to squeeze every bit of acceleration you can on this last stretch because this series of left-handers are once again flat out. Check the rearview mirror, make sure nobody's trying to make a pass on you. And that's a lap around Interlagos. Well, I have to confess that I originally did a lap for that lap guide, but Kevin did a much faster one, so I conceded and used his instead of my poor lap. But we have our first of league representatives here, and that is Kevin O'Keefe, here to represent the Enduro Pro Series, which is a new one this season to the Global Sim Racing channel. Kevin, tell us a little bit about the Enduro Pro Series. What kind of driving does it involve? What kind of racing?
Well, it is the Honda prototype, the Corvette, and the McLaren, and it's all endurance races ranging from 90 minutes to 3 hours is the finale. And it's every other Saturday. The race is at 11 o'clock Eastern.
And those are definitely an endurance event and requires a lot of that, I can tell you. And Kevin, I have to thank you for coming and talking to us. I know you're actually out on track right now for our viewers to get some perspective. I'm impressed with how well he's speaking. What exactly makes this series so special? Like, what's so exciting about watching that one?
Well, I think everybody in the league is really passionate about endurance racing, and that's what you need, because you need drivers that are going to know like what to expect in an endurance race and when to back off and when to save your stuff. And I'm actually really excited. My Daytona race, this was last week, for the kickoff, that was week 1, was the best race I've ever had.
Yeah, you did fairly well in that one. Who are some of the drivers that you think that are from the Enduro Pro Series that people should watch out for today? Because I know there's some fast guys that have hopped in here.
Well, Stefan Olvergaard is in this All-Star race. He's in the Corvette, which is what I run. So he would definitely be the contender for the Corvette Championship.
Absolutely, and I see Ruben Velasco is in here as well, and he's currently sitting 8th in the qualifying from what I see. Thanks for coming and talking to us real quick. I'm going to let you get back to driving.
Thanks. You can find Enduro Pro at EnduroProSeries.com and Enduro Pro Series on Twitter.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Well, we also have, I believe, let's see, I thought we had Wes Eric in here for another series for the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series, but I don't see him, unfortunately. I do see that we have Juran Bursum, who I believe is an organizer for the Piston Cup, which is another new one, if I'm not correct. I'm not sure if our director can correct me on that one before I make an unfortunate mistake here. Okay, I'm just double checking on that one, making sure. Juran, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Thanks for coming and talking to us. I believe you are in charge of the Piston Cup, is that correct?
Yeah, not alone, but I'm one of the 5 guys that are running this series.
Ah, okay. Well, we are talking a bit about some of the leagues that we broadcast on here and that are represented here today. And could you tell us a little bit about the Piston Cup and what that's about?
Well, the Piston Cup is a NASCAR series on ovals. We are going to have 8 races in the NASCAR series. 1 is in road course, to be exactly. The 7 others are ovals. We started it out as Benelux only, and we were looking to open it up for the rest of the world, but after 65 entries of only Benelux drivers, we stopped accepting new guys. So we are very, very proud of this result so far.
It sounds like it's pretty popular, which is awesome to see an oval series so popular over in the European regions. Is there a lot of good racing? Like what makes it so spectacular that so many guys are wanting to come in and join you guys?
Yeah, I think that we are one of the first that are running in the Benelux and Real Oval series. That's something new. It's more popular here than we thought it would be, because we were aiming at maybe 30 to 40 people. But that was a little bit better.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm trying to see if there's any drivers from that series in here currently. I know this was a little bit last second for you guys since you're a bit of a new series to GSRC. Who are some of the fast guys on that series?
Well, there are 2 guys running that I know of, that are Dennis Garessa and Roy Visser. They're also in the how do you say that, the admins of the league. So I'm looking forward to see those guys racing in the Porsche, because we're mainly the Benelux drivers are all very much road minded. And as a nice good thing is Interlagos is of course anti-clockwise, just like ovals. So I think they have a little bit jump ahead of the rest.
Yeah, it's sort of the stereotype that I think most have come to assume about Europeans. But like I said, I love that it's a European series on ovals. It's unique in that way. But thanks for coming and talking to us.
Yeah, I just want to make one last notification, of course, that the race is starting tomorrow, our series. Yeah, everything can be followed, of course, on your channel, and we'll be having a live timing page on our website, joinsimracingfanatic.nl. It will have onboard cameras as well, so it's very nice to take a look at tomorrow, starting 8 Central European Time.
Sounds very fan friendly with the live timing and scoring right there on your webpage. We hope your guys represent well today.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Well, we also have Bill Zahn, or also known as Soup Zahn. You guys might be familiar with him if you've ever watched the GreenValleyLake.com MX5 World Tour, because he is one of the commentators, but he's also the league organizer. And Brian, would you like to talk to Bill a bit about that?
Certainly. Welcome, Bill. Can you hear us?
I can.
Well, Bill, it was nice working with you earlier today. Can you tell us a little bit about your series, what car it runs, and what makes it so unique?
That was an adventure today. It's the Quality Racing Syndicate. Right now we only run one series, and that's the GreenValleyLake.com MX5's World Tour. And we've come aboard with Global Sim Racing Channel about 2 seasons ago, and when Ayrton Ellis first approached us to come on board, we were with Glacier TV, and they did a fine job, but our marriage with them was we weren't getting the attention we would have wanted. And when we came over here with Global Sim Racing Channel, it's been just wonderful, the effort that these guys put in, and this is going to be a great race today. And I'm going to pull for my drivers. I've got my pizza ordered. I got my fermented beverage that I'm ready to partake in. I'm going to put my feet up in the lazy boy and enjoy this race like it should be enjoyed.
Bill, speaking of your drivers, who are some of the drivers from your series, and what are you looking for today, knowing that they might be a little out of their element? Normally you guys are driving the MX-5, obviously, but today we're in the rough track car. Who are you looking at here today?
You know, I saw the roster earlier. I know that Yal Freitas is there. You know, my guys are so infatuated with the MX-5 that driving anything else is almost like they're committing adultery. But I think they have permission to go over there and race in the Porsche, and I'm looking for Freitas. I hope he's here today. I think he can do it. This reminds me back. I'm old enough to remember when they had the Race of Champions, and the very first season they started that. They put all the drivers in equally prepared Porsches until they realized that repairing crashed Porsches were too expensive, and they put them in Burt Reynolds Monte Carlos. But I think Freitas. I think my guys from the Quality Racing Syndicate are going to put on such a pasting as going to be like the Seattle Seahawks against the Denver Broncos today.
The man, the myth, the legend. We have Mr. Bill the Soup Zahn with us. Thank you for that lovely interview there, Bill.
All right, you guys have a great broadcast.
Thanks for that, Bill. Bill is extremely entertaining. I love his addition to the booth lately because he gives us lots of good little tidbits. He knows those drivers inside and out, and is incredibly spot on with some of his calls. We have Wes Eric waiting in the wings. I believe he should be ready to go here. Let's see if we can pull him in and ask him a few questions. Wes, have you got me?
Yes, sir.
Wes, you have been one of the longtime series broadcast here on the Global Sim Racing channel. That's with the Continental Endurance Sports Car series. What is entailed in the Continental Endurance Sports Car series, and what cars and tracks and what type of racing is it?
Sure. So we were modeled after the real-life Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge, which used to be run under Grand Am and now under IMSA. In fact, our league founder is races in that series, or our league sponsor. And so we run the Ford Mustang FR500S in the GS or Grand Sport class, and then the Mazda MX-5 Cup in the Street Touring or ST class. And so we're mixed class, and we're focusing on endurance races. We used to do an hour and a half, and just this season we bumped up to 2-hour races. We limit the fuel back to real world time, so you can get about an hour per fuel run. So that brings strategy in. You're looking at multiple pit stops. debating on tire changes, all that comes, managing fuel, all that comes into play. So it brings a lot of variability, as well as we also do full course cautions with our live race marshals. So any big multi-car incident or anything like that, we throw the full course caution. And then we also allow people to get a lap back under caution. So that really, between the endurance aspect and the pit stops and the strategy and everything that I mentioned before, really keeps the racing close up and down the grid. And we've got some very talented, very fast, and diligent drivers in our league, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, and one thing that I know that it's become familiar with me over the seasons is that it's an incredibly unpredictable series, and I feel like that's one of the signatures of it, that you really have no idea what's going to happen until that checkered flag falls.
Absolutely. As the old adage goes, sometimes in endurance racing, it's best to just ride around for a while until that last fuel stint, and then the racers come out. But yeah, like you said, with the cautions and with the pit stops, and being a longer race, sometimes people get into mishaps early, and so the front runners fall back, or guys who fall back fight their way up, and you never really know. And that makes it a lot of fun, not only for the viewers, but for us drivers as well, for sure.
Absolutely. And some of those names have become extremely familiar for us. Who are some of the guys that have been in the league that you see up top in the scoring charts here at this race?
In GS, we've had guys like Kimmo Suominen and Dan Rash who've won in previous seasons. Some really fast guys like Brian Strotbeck, Andre Trego, Oscar Solins coming back and running with us this season. And we've got a big group, another good group of GS rookies coming in, as we always do. I think we recruit some of the best. Then ST guys like James Stevenson, who have been right at the top for as long as the league's been around. Got teammate Stefan Overgaard, guys like Carl Williamson, who doesn't make a lot of races, but when he does, he's always towards the top. Or the depth of talent, honestly, in ST and GS is impressive even to me.
Yeah, it really is a hard-fought series. And, honestly, we owe you guys a bit of thanks here at GSRC because, if anything, the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series is the reason that we exist, because not only were you guys one of our first customers, it was your series that we all met and gave us the spur to start this and start broadcasting.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys it was a mutual thing, because we needed someone to broadcast, and we're proud paying customers for you guys. We're glad to help you guys get started here. You guys put out an excellent product. We're very happy with having you guys on board, and very proud to say that you guys started with our league.
Well, we're very proud to continue to be able to show you from the very beginning. We hope to be with you for many years. It looks like we've got only a few more minutes left in qualifying, so we're going to have to close up soon. Where can viewers find your series if they want to find out more information?
Absolutely. So the best place to go online is www.contiendurancseries.wix.com/CESCS. That is our league website online. We also, if you Google us, you can find us on Twitter and on Facebook. Just look for the CESCS Conti Endurance Series. And then a small plug, we are actually launching a brand new website for this season. It is easier for viewers, so it's just cescs.org. So that's coming soon.
Good stuff. Thanks for talking to us, Wes.
Hey, no problem. Thanks, guys, and happy anniversary.
Thanks. Well, we've got one more person we want to talk to, and even though he's a league organizer, it's not of a league that we have here on GSRC, although yet we have been talking. I'm not going to promise anything yet because we're on air and I can't make false promises, but I do know that he has a special place because he is doing one of the prizes, and that's one of the paints, and that's Tim Brokaw. Tim, thanks for coming and talking to us, and also thank you for the paint prize that you offered up.
Oh, thanks for having me, Joe.
So you have a bit of a different series, and that's a new one, only started, I believe, a few months ago. Tell us about that.
The GT Open Series is a balance of power. We're currently using 4 different GT cars, which caters to people of skills, matching the pros all the way down to the gentleman drivers. Currently, we're using the Cadillac CTS, the Ford GT, And the two GT3 spec cars that you see today, the Rough Track and the McLaren MP4, those are added weight to bring them down to the speed of the other two. It's a little bit more relaxed than the CES CS, but at its roots, it really is. It's kind of a spawned from the CES CS League. A lot of the core membership, has got their starts and roots in league racing over there.
Yeah, and I remember when you started that up, being very eager to take part. Just what is, what's so distinctive about it? I know you mentioned the multi-class, and that seems like something that really stands out.
Well, yeah, not multi-class so much as it is a multi-make, heads-up racing, where, certain cars will have slight advantages and disadvantages at different tracks, but it makes for really interesting racing. We differ from the other series in that our broadcasts are not live, they are post-race broadcasts. However, that does grant us the opportunity to include people like yourself and myself in the race, that are normally sit in the booth and don't get to get out on track during these races. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really just a lot of fun, and I'm sorry about that multi-class. I misspoke there, so slip
No
of the
problem.
tongue. But we've got a few minutes left, so I'm sorry to cut you a little bit short. But where can viewers find out more information about your series and about your paints?
Well, my homepage, I've put up a free site, and it's www.sites.google.com/site/digigraph it. And you will find the ladders for the points there, and you'll see my archives. I used to do a lot of requested, paint work. I don't have a lot of time for that now, so I'm limited to doing prize cars, and certain teams I still support. I do their liveries for their cars. That's all on that site. You can find free paints, links to count, so free right.
Stuff, and I can attest that his paints look fantastic. Thanks for talking to us, Tim.
Thanks to you too, Joe, and I'm looking forward to racing with you head-to-head here this season. March 8th, I believe, will be Sebring, and it's gonna go start happening.
I'm looking forward to being there. Well, that should conclude our interviews before the pre-race with all of our awesome organizers, and hopefully you found a series that maybe you want to join in or even watch yourself. I can attest that every one of them, we only bring on the best of the best when it comes to series here on GSRC. We don't just broadcast anybody, and all these series have proven themselves as being extremely exciting. Well, qualifying is just about over. We've got a few seconds left. And Brian, I believe once this is over, we're going to go over the top 10. Are you looking forward to this?
There's a lot of names that are new to me here. I've watched over the couple of months before I joined the team, the Conti series on YouTube. So some of these names look a little familiar, but I'm more familiar with the GVL guys. So I'm hoping not to be a little biased here, being a broadcaster for them, but I'm really looking for Yao Freitas and to come around and come out of his element a little bit and do well in this car. So Joe, I'm looking forward to this race. I'm sure we all have our favorites, and this would be really exciting.
Absolutely. I'm getting the hurry up to do the top 10 here. So top 10 in qualifying right now is Ade Coba Lopez on the pole. Incredible stuff. Kevin Vaughn takes up second. Richard Eklund, a familiar face around here, is in third. Uros Jalenko fourth. Antti Tuominen is in fifth. Zhao Freitas is in sixth. Todd Honzarenko seventh. Wolfgang Rockbauer is in eighth. Ruben Valesco is in ninth. And then Patrick Bieri rounds out the top 10. Unfortunately, we won't have time to go down everybody as they get ready to grid very soon here. I want to talk about some of the important stories of the race that we need to mention. One of them being that this is the creme de la creme in all these different series, Brian. So these guys, this is going to be some fierce racing, I have to imagine.
Yeah, and like we were talking about before we did our top 10 there, we got all the heavy hitters from all of the leagues that the GSRC covers on a regular basis. Like I said, we got names like Dan Rash from the Conti series. We got Yao Freitas and a few of the other guys from GVL, and we I think you guys did a great job when you were organizing this race to get some of the most well-known racers in league racing out there. So yeah, this is gonna be a great, exactly creme de la creme kind of race.
We've got 26 guys who've put in qualifying laps at this point, so there's going to be a decently sized field. And Kevin, I have to apologize. I haven't really gone to you yet. I know you had some duties to take care of, so we were kind of let you focus on that. How are you feeling about this race as they start to take the grid?
I am looking forward to this. This field is unbelievably tight. I think we're looking at about, what is this, about 2 seconds between first and last on the grid. So we know that there's going to be a lot of action going on today.
Yes, and I see they're just getting the cars all lined up right now. Like you said, 2 seconds. That is an incredible amount between 26 drivers. So, which, we can't say that it was unexpected, but boy, is that proof that these guys are at the top of their class. And I believe we should be getting the green flags very soon here. The lights are going to be coming up. We're getting some words on Twitter that Bill is a funny guy. So everybody who's paying attention on Twitter, feel free to ask us questions. That is at GSR channel. If you're watching, we will try to answer them during the race. Waiting for that green flag to come up. We are past a minute in, so I'm waiting for the engines to start rev. Brian, I am very much in anticipation over this.
Yeah, I'm getting butterflies in my stomach too. Just watching all these guys line up on the grid, it's just, you can feel the suspense in the air. The fact that everyone qualified out of this whole grid here, only 2 seconds apart, that really just is a testament to the quality of drivers and the quality of the track and car combination. This is going to be an incredible race. I am so excited to get this underway here.
Yeah, I mean, we see guys like Dan Rash, who's qualified 23rd, and Dan is one of the fastest drivers we've seen in the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series. So, man, that's got to be tough if you're seeing Dan Rash that far down the field. And they're starting to get the engines revved up, which means the lights must be off. Waiting for the green flag to fall here. There's the engines going. Waiting in anticipation for the lights. There goes the green, and whoa, someone got a very good start. Who was that? It looks like João Freitas coming up the inside there as Jacobo Lopez leading them away, and going 3 wide through the first corner. These guys are going to have to keep it nice and clean. We already see some trouble up towards the back. A driver is off spinning. A few guys taking the grass to escape. Who is that? That was Elliot Huffman, unfortunately, that got tipped. But
Steve Brown, sorry, Joe, Steve Brown, as we're talking about all the chaos in the first lap, Steve Brown just also spun around. Luckily, he got out of the way of danger. He will not be taking that much damage, and it looks like he'll be able to continue his race.
And meanwhile, up front, Ade Lopez has already lost the lead as Richard Eklund has moved his way on by. Ade is trying to look his way back, coming up towards 5, but 6. It looks like he's not going to be able to do it through there, so he slots back in line. Kevin, could you see any more trouble in the back of the pack?
No, I was watching that start, and the front row of Jacobo Lopez and Kevin Braun got a terrible launch. Richard Eklund and João Freitas just stormed right up, and wow, that was just a fantastic start by Richard Eklund.
Meanwhile, I see that Andre Trago is starting a little bit back. I wonder if he started from pit lane. Elliot Huffman is trying to work his way back up, and he is battling with Steve Brown, who also had some trouble there. Those guys are at the very back of the pack, and it is thick and fast right now throughout the entire field. But in the meantime, Richard Eklund leads them away with Jacobo Lopez already looking on the outside, Brian, trying to get that lead back.
Yeah, and there he goes. It looks like he's going to try and make a move here, cutting down that pit lane. Earlier in the race, or the week, excuse me, there was a lot of discussion. Where should the guys and the race marshals draw the lines on these track boundaries? And we decided.
Oh, and I'm sorry. Richard Eklund is off the track. Sorry to butt in. Richard Eklund went wide at turn 1. He keeps it pointed the right way, but he is all the way down to what looks like 7th place.
Yeah, that was a heck of a save. I'm suspecting that won't be the first time that these guys bump doors and go for a little bit of a ride there. Kevin, did you see what caused that, or was that just a late break situation, or what happened there?
Well, I gotta admit, I was looking at Wolfgang Rackbauer, who got rolled over onto the braking zone into turn 4. He was on his roof. He has retired from the race.
So unfortunate start for him. And in the meantime, João Freitas has slotted himself up into second. Now he has already done quite well with a fourth place of the race we saw just a moment ago at Road Atlanta for the GreenValleyLake.com MX5 World Tour. And he is pulling double duty here. In fact, all of the MX5 guys, Brian, are hopping right from that one right into this one.
Yeah, that's a good point. And amongst those drivers, we got Richard Ekman, Juris Jolenko, João Freitas. Who else we got? We got Thomas Hallinan even. These guys just got done with a pretty lengthy race over at the Road Atlanta Short Circuit, which was about 40 laps long. So if they were experiencing a little driver fatigue, it's definitely going to be there after this race is wrapping up. Joe?
Yeah, so there's a few people that are very busy today, and we understand that a few drivers had to pass because they had other obligations, and we're very sorry that they couldn't make it, but we completely understand, and we thank them for at least considering the race. In the meantime, I'm currently looking at Kevin Vaughn, who's holding down that third position behind João Freitas. He's got Uros Jelenko right behind him, and he is looking to hunt him down as they head towards turn 4.
Moving up to the front of the pack, I've been noticing here that Hideki Lopez is pulling away from the pack a little bit. Now, this guy qualified with a 133.111, a very quick driver, and he's just, looks like he's into his comfort zone here. I wonder, how much experience does he have in this car with this track? It looks to be like he's doing a very nice job here at the beginning of the race, and he's going to be problem-free as long as he keeps his pace up there, Joe.
Yeah, and since he's got a bit of a gap, I'm going to hop back in the field once again. Antti Tuominen and Roy Visser are having a hell of a battle. They're coming through the S's right now. It looks like Roy Visser got the best of them coming into 4. They were side by side for a moment, but right now it looks like Tuominen is trying his best to find a way to get that spot back. And this is the sort of battles that I think we were expecting, Kevin, because these cars are very easy to pick up, at least compared to some cars on iRacing, so it's made for some very close battling.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard car to master, though, and but we're seeing a couple of guys are doing that. Hideki Lopez is just putting out a master class right now, but João Freitas is a little bit of a surprise for me that he's running as well as he is right now.
Yeah, and hopping from one of the slower cars in this service to one of the faster cars in this service, he's proving himself to be incredibly versatile. He's not having it his own way because Kevin Vaughn is still trying to hunt him down. Who has pulled slightly away from Uros Jelenko. Kevin holding down the third spot, and he is closing in, coming up towards turn 4. Not close enough. The accordion under braking, and Brian, he is looking hungry to try and move his car just a little bit higher in the standings.
And I'm watching a battle right now between Jake Tucker and Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin O'Keefe just went defensive into turn 3. It's very close. Tucker takes a look, but no, he's going to back off. So that's some action right there.
Yeah, and but Kevin thought he wasn't going to be that high up. He was telling us before the race he anticipated to be a back marker. Right now, he is holding down 14th spot in a field of 26 of some of the best drivers we've ever seen. That ain't too shabby, Brian.
Yeah, and Kevin O'Keefe is a well-known driver here in iRacing. He's got his own YouTube channel and Twitter account, I believe. He's Rutgers Kev, and he's also doing a live stream from the inside of his car. So if you get a chance to go over there and check that out, we prefer you stay at our broadcast and give us the ratings, but he's definitely putting up a show for his fans, and it's good to see him doing so well here. Normally he's riding, if I'm correct, he's driving a Corvette over at the EPS. Oh, we have a car facing the wrong way on the track. Cars are scattering to get out of the way. We'll have to go back and see who that was. Sorry, folks. That caught me a little off guard there. Kevin just luckily got around, however, and he will be moving on. I just got word that it was Arthur Chan that spun around. It looks like he is facing the wrong direction on the track, but he will be doing all right. Kevin, did you see what happened there?
Yeah, it looks like Arthur Chan just got a little loose through the very fast turn 11 and looped it around and managed to put that car in about the worst possible spot for everybody that was coming up.
Yeah, and he lost a heck of a lot of positions. He was running in 10th. This time by the line, he scored in 23rd. He was looking for a very, very good finish there. And then we've got another spinner. That is Steve Brown coming out of turn 2. He's having a bad day. That's his second incident. So poor guy is definitely not having the race that I think he wanted, Brian.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate thing because we have only done, 5 laps, 6 laps at this point in the race. Hopefully we see these guys calm down a bit and get into a groove. We want to see as much clean racing as possible here and make the make the attrition factor minimized. Right now I'm watching Jake Tucker. He's right behind Kevin O'Keefe going for the 13th position. They're sliding all over the track, as I was talking about earlier, that these double right-hander section of the track, forgive me, I'm not familiar with the names of these corners. However, they can be very tricky, and it's all about braking and getting the right corner entry and then maximizing your corner out. There's a lot of room to track out with these huge curves here, but it's all about keeping your momentum up. And right now it looks like Kevin O'Keefe and Jake Tucker are having a great battle. I just got word that a driver was going off. Joe, did you catch who that was?
Yeah, it looks like Eric Smith, but I don't see him touching anybody when I'm looking at the replay here. He just kind of slows down and he pulls himself off course, so I'm not exactly sure what happened. Oh, he says he lost all gears over the radio. So unfortunately, Eric Smith having a technical problem and he is out of this race. That's sad to see. But yeah, as you mentioned the laps, that we're 6 laps in at this point. This is a 30-lap race. And Kevin, one thing we haven't talked about is pit strategy, because we're going to see a pit stop later.
We are, and I think some of these guys are desperately looking forward to it, because I see some damage on quite a few cars who are falling back. But yeah, it's looking like it's going to be about a 10-lap window, so these guys have a lot of strategy that they can play with. They can maybe pit a little bit earlier and try and get out of some of this traffic that they might be dealing with, or try and stick with it a little longer.
Absolutely, and I'm looking a little bit back once again. Uroš Jelenko currently sitting in the 4th spot. He's got João Freitas right in front of him. And actually, now that I mentioned that, somewhere along the line, we missed Kevin Vaughn getting ahead of João Freitas. Kevin has moved himself into the 2nd position, so obviously he's got the pace, but not quite enough right now, because Lopez continues to just pull away. Last time by, it was a whole 2.7 seconds. It looks like he's extending that gap, Brian. So unless something major happens to him, or maybe he gets his strategy totally wrong, it looks like this is his race to lose already.
Yeah, he's having a great run. This is kind of reminiscent of what we saw earlier today with Sergio Mora just managing traffic just fine in the opening laps and then pulling away from the field. And this might happen again. Also, speaking of deja vu, for a while there, we had João Freitas, Uroš Jelenko, and Richard Eklund, 3 of the fastest guys over at GVL, racing pretty close together. It looks like, oh man, I'm not even sure how to say his name, Zarnarenko?
Zarenko.
Yeah, that's a very tricky name if you're not familiar with it. Anyways, he just took over the position for 5th from Richard Eklund, but we're seeing a great battle from these Mazda guys that know each other's driving style quite well, having a lot of fun up here in the front of the pack.
Also, Richard Eklund unfortunately got into a little bit of trouble. I was just checking in on him to see how his progress back towards the front was going. He got hit by Ruben Velasco coming into turn 1, bit of a rear-ender, but they both seem able to continue. Meanwhile, in front of Ruben, we've got Patrick Bieri and Tumas Hallen, and both duking it out. They're side by side coming into turns 8. And it looks like Tumas is going to have it. In fact, now Patrick is under threat from Velasco as he tries to go around the outside, but there's no doing that right there, it looks like, Kevin.
Boy, that was a great battle. That was set up back in turn 3 where Bieri made a move on Hallen, and they went side by side through that whole section and managed to keep it clean. That was fun to watch.
Good racing from these guys, and this definitely goes to show that there is a lot to watch all throughout this field as these guys are fighting very hard for these positions. Unfortunately, I don't think we've actually mentioned what the prizes are. I will say, first place is a video from yours truly. I get to make either a promo for the series of the driver's choice if they are here representing a series that we broadcast, or if they want a highlight reel showing off themselves and their skills in whatever car they deem. So Ade Coba Lopez currently seems on schedule for that. And what's our second place winner get, Brian?
Well, if I remember right, Tim Brokaw of was it Digigraphic or
Digigraphic, I believe.
Digigraphic. I am just fumbling over these names today. My bad there, Tim. We want to thank you for the prize you've given. But anyways, yeah, second place gets a paint specifically for them, and that is a very cool looking livery, Joe.
Absolutely. And we also have prizes for further down in the field. For the Clean Driver Award, we have a skin from Bill Zahn, from Zahn Skins. And he is going to do a paint job for whatever driver has the fewest incidents. If we have a tie for that, it goes to the driver who finishes highest with the fewest incidents. And then finally, Kevin, we have a prize from Petrel Data Systems.
Yeah, Petrol Data Systems is sponsoring the Most Improved Driver, and we'll get a gorgeous paint from Sergio Plata, who is personally one of my favorite painters on iRacing. He does some amazing stuff out there.
So a lot of good paint jobs, and one, what I hope will be an awesome video, is up for grabs for these guys. I'm hopping back to Kevin Vaughn for that second place battle, which is still going on. João Freitas is still trying to hunt him down, and it looks like Kevin went defensive heading towards turn 1, but slots back into line. These guys have been very close for a long while now, and on lap 9, Kevin, I wonder if we're going to see some pit strategy come into play if these guys want to try and get away from each other.
We very well might, but I tell you what, the action everywhere is so awesome that these guys just might be having too much fun. I just watched Todd Hodzarenko and Richard Eklund go side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. These guys are duking it out. But yeah, you might be right. The smart bet right now might be go ahead and take a pit stop and stop fighting in this traffic.
Yeah, Joe, I was looking at the driver's notes before the race today, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the pit window seems to be around 10 or 11 laps. So we're probably going to see guys pour into the pits pretty soon. Right now, I'm watching this battle between Ruben Velasco, Patrick Vieri, and Tumos Hallinen. These guys have been swapping positions and just going door to door all throughout this track. I think they've had a position swap at least 3 times each between the 3 drivers. So this battle here is getting very intense. As you can see, it looks like a bunch of just jugglers throwing bowling pins at each other. It's like a weird synchronized dance for position. This is one of the most interesting battles I've seen in a long time here at the GSRC.
Yes, let's hang on this one for a while because they've been swapping just as you've been speaking. Patrick Berry was trying to look inside Tumos Hallinen but couldn't make it happen. Velasco got held up there. Now they're coming onto the front straight, and the draft is going to come into play, Brian.
Yeah, and right now we're coming up to that area where the track widens out just a little bit and the drivers tend to cut over the pit line entry line. That's a great time to overtake drivers that are set up for turn 1 where you can outbrake one. Right now it looks like everyone's going to stay single file. They all recognize that they're on lap 10 and they're going to want to save their cars as long as possible. So you're going to see a lot of guys being a little more conservative here at the early stages of the race. Right now it looks like Ruben Velasco, who caught a little bit of a downside in that battle back there, is gaining time on them, and he will be back right on everyone's bumper again here in a few seconds.
Now, Kevin, I know that you've done a few laps in this car, and I have as well. Are you familiar with how the tires play over a stint in this car? I mean, what are these drivers going to be looking out for?
You know, it really seems to vary based on the drivers. I found, for my personal experience, that it seems like after about 5 or 6 laps or so, that the car just gets super grippy everywhere, and then that's when I tend to put out my best laps. And then it seems like the car just starts to push like an oil tanker for a good 20 minutes or 30 minutes or so. So, you know, I think that's down to my setup and my driving style, which is pretty aggressive on the front end of the tires. So hopefully these guys are kind of paying attention to that, because this is definitely a track that will promote understeer, definitely with these hot conditions out there today.
And someone who might be suffering from understeer is Ruben Velasco, depending on how hard his car hit Richard Eklund a bit ago. I know he got a bit of damage. That was a very hard plow. And he's still trying to hunt down the back of Patrick Bieri as he's looking at that spoiler coming down the front stretch up across that start-finish line just now. It doesn't look like he's close enough to make anything happen, but they've still been fighting quite closely. Look at him close up. Oh, and he gives just a little bit of a tap to Bieri once more. So obviously
Hodzarenko spins. I'm sorry, Joe, but Hodzarenko spun in turn 3. He's into the wall. That front end of that car, oh, that looks bad. I think he might be out of this one.
And looking at the replay now, it looks like the back end started to come out, and he overcorrected. And that was it. That barrier was very close. There wasn't a lot of runoff, even though it was paved. And Brian, it looks like he's going now. But like Kevin said, that was a heavy hit.
Yeah, and we can't afford to be making mistakes at this point in the race. We still got a long ways to go before we get home. Right now I'm watching João Freitas as he comes up right behind Kevin Vaughn, and right behind him is Juris Jelenko. This is a familiar picture that we've seen before. If these guys battle, it might give a chance to Mr. Jelenko to catch up. João Freitas goes wide on the outside and tucks back in. He's not going to try a pass here. Maybe he will get him on this tricky left-handed kink up here, and it looks like, again, he's going to tuck back in. Yao has been throwing down some great laps here. He's been all over the back of Kevin Vaughn for the last couple of laps here. I'm really looking for Yao to actually come across and maybe get a pass in the next couple of laps here, Joe.
Yeah, I was. Oh, and I think he just blew his engine. I think I saw a puff of smoke.
Well, certainly that Yao is going down pit road. I will monitor the chat in the game and see what he's saying about it. I think he might have blown his engine.
Oh, and I believe we've seen a few of that. Sam McAleer reported his engine blew. I know Eric Smith lost gears earlier. So people are starting to see some problems crop up on their cars. I wonder if that has to do with the weather, because it is currently 88 degrees and it's 92% humidity. So it's a bit sweltering, which you'd expect here in Interlagos. And I'm getting word that something happened to Patrick Bieri as well.
Yeah, Patrick Bieri just made a routine pit stop, it looks like. Also, just worth noting, it looks like Todd Hansaringo also might have turned in his car to the garage today, as it seems like he was having too much trouble with the damage he picked up, and Dylan Murcott also left the server, guys. So it looks like there is a little attrition going on, that we can attribute it to the weather, or also some of the contact that's been going on around track.
I'm getting word that Kevin O'Keefe is under threat from Dan Rash, who's trying to hunt him down. Dan has made steady progress from next to last in qualifying to 14th last time by. And I'm watching this battle go on. Jake Tucker, you know, every time I hop over to him, his rear end is all over the place. It's like he's got butter on those wheels.
Speaking of butter on his wheels, right when you were saying that, I was watching Jaros Jalenko, and he got majorly sideways. He did a great job to save it, but it makes you wonder, maybe these guys are driving their tires a little too hard, and they're just sliding all over the place. I've seen several guys going very sideways in some of these turns.
Yeah, I'm still watching this battle back here between Rash and O'Keefe and Tucker. And Rash has got a good run. He's close up behind O'Keefe. Let's see if he's going to try and make a dive up the inside. He's going to run out of room here. Oh, and just gets up on the bumper of O'Keefe. He's bump drafting actually as they come up to the braking zone. And O'Keefe goes on by Tucker, and that's going to give him the spot. But unfortunately, Dan Rash almost loses it coming through turn one and just holds on. But what looked like a possible pass has turned into lost time for Rash.
Yeah, that was a very interesting strategy decision there, because, you know, the draft was really going to help him there. But at the same time, he had lost all that progress he made when he lost traction in his car. It's funny that you mentioned bump drafting, though. As I mentioned earlier, Kevin O'Keefe is a former oval guy. He decided that he wanted to try his hand over at road racing. So, you know, having a guy that close to the back end of his car is nothing new to him. It probably doesn't even bother him all that much. And because of the accident, or the mistake that Dan Rash made, it gave Jake Tucker a good chance to just kind of catch his breath for a second, as he had to watch all of that going down right next to him.
Well, Roy Visser's engine has also expired, so apparently the heat is getting to some of these cars. These guys will have to watch out and pay attention to their temperature levels on their engine. So it looks like, let's hop back up to the front, because I believe we haven't talked about Koba Lopez for a while. He's continuing his lead with about 6.6 seconds, so he is holding on quite healthily. Kevin Vaughn doesn't have Freitas behind him anymore, so Uros Jalenko, who is also dropped back, is actually the closest, highest battle we've got, with Richard Eklund having worked his way all the way back up after leading early on, and he is trying to get himself onto the podium.
Richard Eklund is quite the hard charger. It seems like nothing phases the guy. We've seen several weeks in a row now where he's thrown his cars all over the track, even gone off and bounced off the wall, and still finished with a good result. And today it looks like it's going to be no different. He might have taken a little bit of damage earlier today, but at the same time, he is just he's really impressing me with the way he's managing this car. I'm not sure how much track time or experience he has here at Interlagos in the rough, but he is showing that, yeah, you know, he's a veteran driver with a lot of skill and a good head on his shoulders, and he's just doing everything he can to have a good finish today. As well as Ade Lopez, he doesn't have to worry about really overheating his car. He can take his time now that he has such a big lead, and make sure he's hitting his gears right. But at the same time, he doesn't got anybody to draft with, so he has nothing but clean, cold air in front of him, and this car is going to be very happy as long as that situation stays around.
Very much so. I'm still looking at Richard Eklund, and you know, one thing worth noting is that he's a fairly young driver, so he is an up-and-coming talent with hopefully a lot of years ahead of him. And with how hard he races and how well he races, I think we can expect good things from here for many more years to come. He's dropped off a bit from Uros so this battle for third seems to have died down just a little bit, although he closes up under braking, and they'll continue to stretch out with that accordion effect as they come back off of Curva del Sol. Let's find ourselves another good battle throughout the field, which I believe, I'm getting word that Rash has finally made the pass on O'Keefe as he comes around the outside of him down the front straightaway, coming towards turn one. Let's see if O'Keefe tries to get that spot back, Kevin.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just checking in on Jacobo Lopez, who's getting ready to start lapping drivers. He's got Steve Brown in front of him, so let's see how Aday's able to do this.
And Lopez is one of the drivers that we invited from the SRF Week 13 race that we have done twice now, and is always a good show. And he's usually up there. How does he perform in traffic in that series, Kevin?
You know, to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of that because he's usually so far out in front that nobody ever sees him again. So anytime I've raced with Aday, I barely see his bumper. He just disappears so quickly, but he definitely was able to get around Steve pretty quickly. Steve made that a little easier for Aday today.
That's for sure. And I'm still looking at Dan Rash after we had mentioned him getting by O'Keefe. He's closed up on the bumper of Tucker now, and with Tucker being a little bit squirrely in a few corners, although Rash starts to lose it there, coming through turn 9 for a second, collects it back and gets it going once again. He didn't lose too much time. I expect him to wait for just the right opportunity because Dan is very opportunistic and very aggressive, Kevin. We've seen it before that when he sees a chance to get by, he uses it.
You're absolutely right. Dan definitely does attack. He's a little bit far, I think, on the draft right now on the main straight, but we'll see if he gets a chance. But we know that Jake Tucker also, through the Green Valley Lake MX5 series, he tends to have a wide car. Tucker can be difficult to get around.
So this is a great combination. As we see Rash close up, we're on board with him now. He decides to back off, thinks it's not worth it, and just gets up on the bumper through turn 1, knowing exactly where the front of that car is, and he gets a fairly good launch at it into Curva del Sol here. They're going to be flat to the floor all the way till turn 4. Let's see if he gets enough of a draft. It's not quite a long enough straightaway. I think if he's really brave, Brian, he might have a go.
You know, I think he is really brave, and it'll be interesting to see. I think Dan Rash is just playing mind games right now. He's very talented in the, I believe it's a Mustang over the Conti series. He's one of those drivers that, doesn't get rattled very easily. As he goes onto the right side, he's looking. I think he's going to go, and Jake Tucker just lets him go. If you were watching on board, it just looked like the air brake and parachute came out at the same time. Tucker wanted nothing to do with trying to force the issue in that corner there, Joe.
That's probably a wise move with Rash and how aggressive he can be. But once again, like I said, very opportunistic and well-executed move from Rash. So good to see him moving up. He is now up to 8th. I have a feeling, unless he was sandbagged in the qualifying, he's looking like a good chance for that Petrol Data Systems Award.
And guys, we do have to point out that pit stops have started. A whole bunch of drivers just went and finally served a stop and are back out on track right now, including Patrick Berry, Antti Tuominen, Elliot Huffman, Randy Chenoweth, Kevin O'Keefe, Daniel Benefield, Arthur Chan, and Steve Brown.
So it sounds like a lot of drivers are employing the split strategy, just find the halfway point and bring her in, fill her up, and get back out there. So a number of guys taking the predictable route there. Let's see if it plays out for them. I know a couple of drivers have also already pitted, so a few of them have tried the early stop strategy. We'll see if anybody is able to capitalize on that. Looking through the field, Eklund still holding down that 4th position, but
Dan
he is
Rash
now
is off. I'm sorry, Joe, but Dan Rash is off. I'm not entirely sure why. Did he blow an engine as well?
I'm looking at the replay to try and see what happened. It might be the case.
He blew a motor. He blew a motor on the front straight.
Oh, that's too bad, Dan. We were all pulling for you up here and saying all these nice words for you, and we may have given you the commentary curse. So please forgive us on that one. It was such a great race, and unfortunately, if that is the case, it will be the end of his day.
Well, one that we hope isn't spoiled by a blown motor is this battle for second place, because Kevin Vaughn, Uros Jelenko, and Richard Eklund are all within each other, almost within a second. It's very close between these 3 cars right now, coming down the front straightaway. And these guys, I guess Kevin right now is the last guy in line for a win-merited prize. So these 2 behind him are going to be pretty hungry to try and get that lovely paint. Oh, and there was a bobble from, who was that? Uros Jalenko got squirrely coming out of turn 2 and gives up the spot. Richard Eklund slots himself into third.
I remember when this rough came out, there was a problem where if you hit a bump or curbing the wrong way, you would bounce or go up on the two wheels, and a lot of people called it bicycling. I was wondering, is this still a problem in this car? I haven't driven it since the new build came out, Joe. What do you know about this car since the last update?
Well, I believe that was the C-Spec version of the roof, and this is the track version, so I don't believe they should have problems with that, or at least I would hope not. But, you know, this car does suffer from pogoing, and Kevin, what is that about?
Well, it's basically when the front end of the car starts bouncing up and down like it's riding on a pogo stick. It's pretty easy to do if you start bouncing off of curbs or other holes. And when that happens, the car just gets in this unbalanced state and doesn't really want to do anything. It doesn't want to steer. It doesn't want to get on the power. It doesn't want to brake. So if you want to have a fast lap, you have to make sure that you keep the car off the big bumps so that you can avoid that. Or you have to completely go with a very, very soft suspension, and then you'll be slow.
Very dramatic effect there.
Speaking of drivers that aren't slow, I mean, how happy is Bill Zahn today, knowing that he has Uros Jalenko, Richard Eklund, Tuomas Hallinen, and Jake Tucker all in the top 10 of the grid today, as we're looking at Eklund going down pit road right now. I mean, that's got to say a lot about the quality of drivers over at the Grand Valley Lakes MX5 World Tour. He just has some of the greatest drivers I've ever seen, and today they're really showing their colors. Joe, what do you think about that?
I think we kind of expected a bit of that, because that series has really just attracted the best of the best with the way that it's so competitive. So yeah, no, I agree that you know, we even see Stefan Oergaard, who's a bit of a newcomer to that series, but even he is in 10th place right now. A few other guys worth mentioning, though. I see Patrick Bieri in 8th. And Antti Tuominen in 9th, as we watch Jake Tucker head into the pits, so he's taking his pit stop coming out of 7th. Those guys from the CES, yes, they're faring fairly well here at this point. We are 19 laps in, so it looks like the end of the pit window has been reached. If the guys haven't pitted now, they are getting some incredible fuel mileage.
I might be wrong, but it looks like Richard Eklund beat Kevin Vaughn, or is that right? Let's see here.
Yeah, that's Kevin Vaughn.
Kevin Vaughn is behind Richard Eklund, so it makes you wonder who took less fuel or who had the better stop. We'll have to go back and look. That was quite the move, though, however, for Richard Eklund, who has been just amazing in this race.
And you mentioned the MX5 World Tour. I wonder if that's a bit of something he's learned from that series, because they have pit stops in there. And you really have to pay attention to the last little drop of fuel and know exactly how much you need. And it looks like Eklund has started to take a note from Jan Koemans, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. That is definitely a Koemans-like thing to do. If you remember right earlier in the race today, excuse me, I'm a little bobbled here. In the race earlier today, we saw a lot of drivers coming across the start-finish line with almost no fuel left in the tank, and they were just sputtering along. So I think that is something that you kind of learn from being in that series that Bill Zahn runs over there at the MX5 World Tour, planning your pit stops and making sure you plan them well. Because as we saw, 1 second in the pits might be the whole race later on.
And it looks like our leader, Ade Coba-Lopez, has taken his pit stop. He is currently sitting in 4th, but we have a few guys yet to take theirs. Ruben Velasco, I believe, has not come in yet. Tuomas Hallinen and Uros Jalenko, who is right now leading. He must be on fumes, I imagine, Kevin.
Yeah, sorry, Joe, I'm getting word from some of the drivers that they were just all struggling with temperatures going up. Dan Rash just told me that he was looking at a 300-degree Fahrenheit water temperature in his engine before it blew. These guys, they're just struggling to find cold air to get into the front of the car.
So I guess note for the future, maybe we should schedule this race for winter time somewhere else this time. Unfortunately, we had some very hot temperatures with this being in Sao Paulo, but that definitely didn't play well to these drivers, and it's unfortunate to see them have to have that happen, but, well, everyone was playing on an equal playing field.
I have to break in right now. It looks like Kevin Vaughn and Richard Eklund are going at it very aggressively. I believe Kevin Vaughn is looking inside. Is he gonna get him? It looks like he might. We have drivers going wide, and he has taken the position. That was quite the pass there, Joe.
Yeah, he has moved himself back into that spot quite expertly. And looking at the timing, I'm trying to see how far behind they are from Lopez, because they should both have their stops done at this point, all three of these guys. And it looks like Lopez has quite a lot of room. Jelenko, oh, there he is. I was going to say, Jelenko can't still be out, can he? And he is coming out. Let's see if he can jump these guys. He's trying to get his car going. It's very close. He's getting it up to speed. It's he's gonna have the foot down just like these guys are, and he is ahead of them. It looks like Jelenko is gonna slot himself into second once again. Another driver from that MX-5 World Tour using the pit stops.
It's all about the pit stops, and like you said earlier today, you know, if you lose a little bit of time, if you miss your stall or you take a little bit too much fuel, that might be the reason that you didn't finish where you thought you would, and that's something that these drivers know very well. So I think Jaros Jelenko already had the experience and the knowledge about this car, that he knew when the best time to pit was, and now he's coming out with an open track in front of him and clean air, so he knows probably now that the temperature factor won't be a problem unless one of these guys pass him. I think he's doing everything right now there, Joe.
Definitely. And last time by at the line, it was 16 seconds between him and Jelenko. Or I'm sorry, Jelenko and Lopez. And I think that's pretty much accurate from what I'm looking at, because I'm hearing it's actually 9 seconds between them on the track right now. It looks pretty wide to me. Lopez has just an almost insurmountable lead unless his engine expires. With 8 laps to go, Kevin, he's just about got this thing wrapped up.
Yeah, and I think the key point is engine expire. So Ade Cobo Lopez, he's got that nice huge gap. He can kind of get off the throttle a little bit and make sure that his engine does not get to the extreme temperatures that other drivers are apparently seeing today.
Yes, the attrition level has been pretty harsh right now. Quick note, Wolfgang Rockbauer is out, Andre Trago is out, Dennis Garrison is out, Eric Smith is out, Sam McAleer is out, Dylan Murcott, Todd Honzarenko, Roy Visser, Zhao Freitas, Dan Rash, Arthur Chan are all out. So a lot of drivers have bit the dust.
And I don't know if you guys saw that on camera, but Kevin Vaughn got super loose there through 3 and allowed Richard Eklund to squeak on by.
Hey Joe, I just have to mention real quick that I'm watching the best battle on the track right now, hands down, bar none. Patrick Bieri and Thomas Holland, and these guys have been swapping positions still, and we're 22 laps into this race. They're running out of time, and these guys are going almost identical lap times. They're switching positions back and forth. It's like the guys are the same exact driver in 2 different cars following each other on a ghost lap in a test session. This is crazy. This is pure madness how many times they've switched positions in the course of 1 lap. These guys have been battling out. This is probably my favorite battle out here today.
Yeah, and right now Patrick Bieri is the following car that you're watching. It looks like he's trying to get that spot back from Hallen, and has a bit of a moment coming out of 11 up through 12. This is a corner where they really got to focus on that exit, and it looks like he did. Bieri got himself a good launch, and he's going to have the slipstream pulling him all the way down this sort of straightaway with multiple curves down to turn 1. I don't think he's quite close enough, Brian, but let's see if he tries to outbrake him. Now he really closes, coming up towards the braking zone, and it looks like, he doesn't quite have it.
He doesn't quite have it, but man, this is just like a pure battle if there ever was one. These guys are showing a lot of respect for each other. They're racing clean, and they're doing everything they need to do to make sure that they don't take each other out and still enjoy the fruits of a good battle.
That's the key thing here, is the respect that they're showing to each other. And when you get to this level, you don't get to it without, having a little bit of that in your pocket. You have to be very trusted by the drivers around you and know that you can't just be reckless and barge in there. You can be aggressive like your Dan Rashes and your Russell Claysons, but you can't just go, making passes willy-nilly. You have to be smart about them. These guys seem to be doing that right now, and that's what makes great battles. Bieri hasn't had a chance to try and get back by him. They're going through the S's right now. Oh, and it looks like a mistake from Bieri is going to allow another car by, and that's Antti Tuominen. Tuominen is just going to pick himself up a position with the greatest of ease.
Speaking of looking for battles right now, we got Ruben Velasco all over Huffman right now. These guys have also been going at it for a while, and I am really amazed at this outing today. We have a lot of guys that have blown their engines, and that's a shame that we lost the Yao Freitas and the Sam McAleers at the same time. even Roy Visser, who was having a great race. But now we're watching guys like Ruben Velasco and Elliot Huffman go at it. And again, there's just a lot of respect on the track right now, and a lot of these guys are big names in iRacing. It's great to see them all just having fun and respecting one another. And like you said earlier, this track is all about respect and being smart, using your head. These cars are planted, so we were expecting a lot of great battles, but I really wasn't expecting this many great battles on a day like today.
Yeah, and credit to Huffman, because remember, he was the one that spun early on, so he was all the way to the tail of the field, and he is sitting in 8th position, so he's done a lot to minimize the damage. I'm not sure that he's going to win any awards today, but he certainly gets my respect for managing to crawl that car all the way up into the top 10.
Yeah, and it's really cool. Right now I'm watching Richard Eklund. He's catching up to someone, I believe it's Uros Jalenkos. These guys have been about a second apart, but I think Richard might just be dealing with Kevin Von over the back of him. It looks like now they've got a little bit of a gap, and hopefully Richard can catch back up with Uros Jalenko and put on another big fight for the 2nd position.
Yeah, you remember, Vaughn had a problem earlier, if I remember correctly, so he's been able to work his way back up to these guys, and that just goes to show you that he's at least got the pace, that he's up there by merit, and there hasn't been a whole lot of side-by-side battling between Eklund and Jalenko, so it's not like they were slowing each other up. Right now, Jalenko has about a 1.2 second lead over Eklund last time by the line, which means that all he
Kevin
has
Vaughn just blew his motor. Sorry, guys, but Kevin Vaughn just also blew his motor.
Oh, dear. And I just got word that Arthur Chen might be out of this race as well. These guys, despite all the warnings by our race control and drivers that have been having trouble, are still blowing engines. It makes you wonder what's really going on here, Joe.
Well, what 24 out of 30 laps done, and what we thought was going to be more of a sprint race is turning into an enduro. These guys obviously not sweating in their cockpits unless they're actually down somewhere close to the equator, but certainly in the virtual cockpit it is getting very hot, and only 15 cars are left running on the track right now. That is out of 27 starters. Attrition is just gobbling them up.
Yeah, and it makes me wonder right now, if I'm Antti Tuominen, what am I thinking, knowing that all of these guys are blowing engines and they're getting in these battles and having issues with their engines? What do I do? You certainly don't want to give Patrick Vieira too much time, but at the same time, you got to think a different strategy now. This isn't a sprint race anymore. Like you said, it's turning out to be more of an endurance race where the key to winning is just to finish, and it's very frustrating because you want to push hard, you want to be part of these battles, but at the same time, if you get too close to the guy, you might blow your engine. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this race plays out. Hopefully we are done with the engine blowing part and back to the good racing part.
And we've also seen this happen a bit in the MX-5 World Tour with engines blowing. I wonder if it's something with the new build that you just can't be as greedy with those revs, Kevin.
Boy, I don't know, Joe. It sounds like guys were experiencing some issues during practice, but I think, the temperature is a big problem out there. It is hot and it is humid, and these guys are pushing really hard, and I think they're just not getting enough air to these motors, and these motors apparently don't like hot temps.
We're getting word that there's a battle between Steve Brown and Daniel Benefield, and this is for 13th and 14th spot. Brown in the car behind closes right up on the back bumper of Benefield. He looks to the inside coming into 12. Is he going to try and get by? I'm not sure if this is the wisest move, though, because if Benefield gets a good launch, Brown is going to be very vulnerable all the way down this straightaway, and you can see how close Benefield is even at the start of this stretch, Brian.
Yeah, and this is one of those corners where it really doesn't make all that much sense to try and get that kind of an angle of attack into the corner because it's such a long straight. There's always that chance that if the other driver gets a good run out of there, you're going to beat him in the draft and outbrake him into turn one. So if I were the driver in this situation, not telling them what they should be doing, I would take that corner very lightly and try to get them the draft on the way out rather than force the issue going into the apex.
Slow in, fast out, as the saying goes, but Brown is coming back at Benefield after Curva del Sol, heading down the backstretch towards turn 4, and he's got the inside, outbreaks him quite cleanly. Let's see if he's able to execute the exit right, though. It looks like he gets it decently. Benefield, though, is not giving up, tries to look to the inside into 6. I don't think he's quite close enough. No, he has to back out of it. So this is a hot battle for one of the what shouldn't be a lower position because he's halfway up the field at this point. But of the cars running, these guys are second to last.
Yeah, it is always awkward when you call 12th place or even 11th place a low position. But Dan Rash said that he blew his engine at 224 Fahrenheit and cooling at 300 Fahrenheit with his oil pressure. So, yeah, I guess the engine temperatures are really, really getting up there. And right now we just got word that Daniel Benefield is bobbling his car. That's probably why he lost so much time to Steve Brown.
Yeah, but now
we have
Steve
a driver
Brown is off track.
Steve Brown is off.
Oh, and just narrowly avoided by Benefield as he spins across the track. An unfortunate mistake from Brown. He's one of those drivers that just doesn't seem to get the luck lately. He is one of the champions of the Continental Endurance Sports Car Series in Season 2, so we know that he can be a good, clean, consistent driver. This has not been his race, though. He has moved himself down into, I believe, 14th spot.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about pogoing earlier, and that really wasn't the case, but when his car did get off onto the grass, he did bounce quite a bit, and it really, made it so he couldn't start braking until a few seconds earlier or later when he got the car under control. By that time, he's already back on the track and going sideways, and there's nothing he can do to save it. Unfortunately for Steve Brown, he's going to lose a lot of time here today.
Well, we only have 2 laps left to go. Ade Koba Lopez continues to lead. Uros Jalenko is still holding down second spot. Richard Eklund is in third. Tumas Hallinen is in fourth. And Patrick Bieri rounds out the top 5, but they're pretty spread out at this point. About the closest one we've got up in there is Uros Jalenko and Richard Eklund, less than a second apart for second and third.
This has been quite the battle, and it's so cool to watch Uros Jalenko and Richard Eklund battling it out. And it's like when you watch these guys race in the MX-5s, you see this sense of urgency and this sense of positioning the car and really knowing the other driver pretty well, know what his tendencies are. And that's what we're seeing here right now. These guys know each other pretty well from the series they both run in. And I think it's amazing to see that the talent and the same kind of style carrying over to the rough cars, despite the speed differences and the technicality of the track.
You know, one of the things they say, if you're fast in the MX-5, you're probably going to be fast in most cars on the iRacing service. And we're seeing that very much true here with Jalenko and Eklund really doing a fantastic job. Hallinen as well, he's also from the MX-5 World Tour. He's holding down fourth. He's a bit of a ways back, but you know what? He's still in fourth, so that counts for something.
You know, Joe, it's funny that you say that the faster driver in the MX-5 is going to be faster in pretty much everything. That's probably why I'm sitting here up in the booth today and not down there on the track with the guys. But this has been a great race so far. I'm so glad to be here as part of the broadcasting team, and it's just been a lot of fun here today.
I think it's worth mentioning that Hallinen is actually running the GSRC paint right now, if I'm hearing correctly. So kudos to him, and thanks for running our colors in this race. In the meantime, we're on lap 29. We have a lap and a half left. Ade Koba Lopez continuing to lead the field unchallenged. Uros Jalenko and Richard Eklund trying to settle that second place prize spot and figure out the podium. But it looks like it ain't over till it's over between these guys. Eklund is just holding on behind. He might be waiting for his opportunity to pounce.
If I remember right, that's what the case was earlier today. Eklund is just one of those drivers that you can't let him go and think that it's all right to put your guard down or get too comfortable. Eklund is one of those drivers that he will push through you if he needs to, and he's a very aggressive driver in that way. But at the same time, he's a driver that has a lot of smarts as well. He knows when to sit back and just hang out and when to really push it. So to his credit, he's had a great race so far, and I think you're right. I think he's just waiting for the moment to pounce, and that will be when either the driver in front of him messes up or when he feels like he's had enough of waiting and just wants to go for it. And I suspect that time will be coming up pretty soon with all these long straights in this track.
Well, Ade Koba Lopez has taken the white flag, and he is completing his final circuit, coming around Curva del Sol all by himself, and it looks like it's over, all bar the shouting. Jalenko, meanwhile, has got Eklund what looks like closer than what we've seen before, coming down Curva del Sol onto the back straightaway. Is this going to be when Eklund does it, Kevin?
I don't know. He's a little far away for my taste. Jalenko's been running pretty well, and Richard just doesn't seem like he's close enough, but he's got the whole infield section to close up. If he's going to do it, he's got to do it now.
Yeah, and it's pretty tough in these cars to make that draft be able to slingshot you all the way past at the start-finish line. You can catch up and maybe try to outbrake them, but trying to get a car past is a whole other thing. Really closes up, as I think Jelenko made a mistake coming through 6 and 7 there. So now this is the opportunity that Eklund needs.
Yeah, you're right, and like you said, this has been a very intense battle throughout, and I think the time is coming soon. Eklund will make a move in the next couple of laps, and if he doesn't, excuse me, I have to break away. It looks like Lopez is coming up to the last corner. He's going to take the checkered flag, it appears, while behind him, 11 seconds behind, Eros Junko and Richard Eklund will finish out this battle as we come towards the final sector of this track here, Joe.
Yes, he's coming to the start-finish line. It's been 30 laps. It celebrates 1 year of the Global Sim Racing Channel, but right now we're celebrating the win of Ade Koba Lopez as he takes the checkered flag and crosses the line. An incredible and dominating win. Let's hop back to that battle between Uros and Richard.
Like I said, Richard Eklund is looking for the time, and the time is looking like it's going to be now. He's been collecting a run here in the last sector, and all it comes down to is this draft here. And all he has to do is get a good run out of this corner, and we'll see what happens. I think
and they've actually crossed the start-finish line. I'm sorry, Brian.
Excuse me. I was in replay mode. That was my mistake. Only the second time I've done that today.
Uros Jelenko did finish second, and Richard Eklund took home third, completing the podium. Tuomas Hallinen does come across the line and take a fourth-place finish with Patrick Bieri rounding out the top 5. Guys are still battling it out. Oh, I see a poor Antti Tuominen who is sputtering to the line. His car has expired. Smoke blowing from the back of his car. Where's Randy Cheneth? Is he going to beat him to the line? It's going to be very close.
No, it looks like Antti crossed, but man, just yet another blown engine. Unbelievable.
So it looks like things are almost completed here. Everybody's pretty far apart as guys continue to cross the line and finish. This was, well, unfortunately, the attrition rate was higher than we wanted, guys, but the battling was everything we wanted and more.
Yeah, that was some fantastic action that we did get to see, and I still am just blown away by the number of blown motors today.
Well, as Daniel Biddlefield crosses the line as the last car on track, that wraps... I'm sorry, I'm hearing that Steve Brown is the last car, but he is scored as a lap down, so he should be completed at this point from what I understand. But we are getting ready to go to break real quick. We're going to come back with some interviews and give you the unofficial standings. And we will try and figure out who won the prizes and announce them post-race here. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in a second. Come back for the interviews. Welcome back to the GSRC All-Star Invitational, where we just watched Ade Coba Lopez school everyone and then some with an awesome display for 30 laps. He won the race today for this one-off celebration of our first anniversary. Uros Jelenko came home second. Richard Eklund finished third. Tuomas Holonen finished fourth. Patrick Bieri finished fifth. Elliot Huffman finished sixth. Ruben Velasco took home seventh. Antti Tuominen in eighth. Randy Chineth in ninth. And Jake Tucker in 10th. What are the next 10, Brian?
It looks like we got Kevin O'Keefe in 11th, Daniel Benefield in 12th, Steve Brown in 13th, Stefan Overgaard in 14th, Kevin Vaughn in 15th, Arthur Chan in 16th, Dan Rash finished 17th. We got Yao Freitas in 18th, Roy Visser in 19th, and Todd Hanzarenko, I believe is his name, in 20th.
21st was Dylan Murcott, 22nd Sam McAleer, 23rd Eric Smith, 24th Dennis Garrison, 25th Andre Trago, 26th was our final racer Wolfgang Rockbauer, who had a very short race.
And we have our first interviewee in here, and that is Kevin O'Keefe. He finished 11th today. Kevin, I know you said that you expected to be a backmarker, but 11th isn't bad out of 27 of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a fun race, but when you look at it, only 14 cars were running, so 11 isn't the best. But no, that practice session I hosted yesterday for the guys, it really paid off, and I'd like to thank Kevin Vaughn, who shared his setup yesterday, and that's what I ran and got me to the end.
I know a lot of guys mentioned that they didn't have a whole lot of experience in this car. Were you one of those guys, and did that practice session really do you a lot of good?
Yeah, this was my first time with the car. I like the track. I actually won a Grand Am race earlier this year here. So I knew the track, but not the car.
Well, congratulations at least on 11th place, and thanks for coming out and driving. Also, thanks for streaming this on your stream.
Yeah, thanks. So if you want to see my in-car, I actually had a very good 3 or 4 way battle there in the middle part of the race. So you can find it at youtube.com/RuckersKev. I'm also at twitch.com/RuckersKev, and the 24 car I was battling with there at the end streams at twitch.com/ChenStrap. You can find the battle from both sides.
All right, great stuff. Thanks for talking to us, Kevin.
Thanks.
We also have Antti Tuominen with us to talk, and he finished in 8th today, and I believe Brian has some questions for him.
Hey, Antti, how you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing fine. Thank you.
First of all, we want to know, were you nervous about cars blowing up their engines throughout the race? Was that something that was in the back of your mind as you were battling it out with some of these drivers today?
Actually, no. I did some practice with the same conditions regarding weather, and I never had any engine issues, and my temperatures, they were high, but they were stable, and I could sort of adjust them a little bit by shifting earlier or later. So no, I wasn't worried. It came out of nowhere, the thing that my engine blew up.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. I mean, we were all up in the booth today, very surprised that so many cars were being taken out due to engine problems and transmission problems. So it's glad to see that you weren't concerned, none the least, and that you were able to move on with your race. My question for you is, how much do you know this track, and have you ever driven here with the rough track car before?
I've done a bunch of races here on the track, so I'm familiar with the track, but I haven't driven this car. Actually, I think this was my 3rd race ever in this car.
And do you have any closing thoughts before we hand you off back to Joe?
Well, my start wasn't that great. We were 3 wide on the, was it corner 3, and there was a bit of contact, so sorry about that.
Well, I'm sure the apologies will be accepted all around. You had quite the race today, including a couple of great battles, so it was always very entertaining to go back and watch later on. Thank you for coming down and talking to us today, Antti, and Joe, will be going back to you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we have another person to talk to, and that is Elliot Huffman, who pulled himself an excellent 6th place, especially after quite a comeback, and I believe Kevin's going to talk to him.
Elliot, congratulations on that 6. I think that was definitely well done. How did that meet your expectations?
Lap 1 certainly didn't. You'd never expect to get wrecked like that, but then again, that's just standing starts for you. But other than that, I felt like I had a great race. After that, I certainly didn't expect a top 10, let alone almost a top 5.
Yeah, well, definitely, it seemed like the story of the day was engines blowing up left and right. Were you keeping an eye on yours?
To be perfectly honest, I couldn't find the water temperature gauge on mine, but I didn't seem to have any issues. I was always braking kind of early, shifting a little early anyways. So, regardless of the temperature, I was going to be in good shape, I think.
Well, yeah, definitely very fortunate if you were never look at your water temperature gauges. Definitely, guys were seeing it spike left and right. So, yeah, anything else you want to tell us about your race today?
After being in the Thursday practice, I really wasn't expecting to come in here and win. So it's just one of those races where you come in, do your best, and just have fun doing it. And I had plenty of fun once I got myself calmed back down after lap 1.
Awesome. Well, thanks for showing up today, Elliot. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me.
And we've got one more person to talk to, and that was Richard Eklund, who completed our podium just outside the prizes in third. Richard, you did double duty today, excuse me, between the MX5 World Tour and this. Were you a bit tired coming into this?
No.
I know that you had some really good battles throughout, but early on you had a problem and got knocked back down through the field. Was that hard charging back through, or were you pretty confident that your pace would, separate the wheat from the chaff?
Yeah, on lap 2 there, I got passed by a day. I got a good start, got around him, but lap 2 he got around me, and he braked a little bit earlier than I do, so I had to just move over a little bit, not to hit him. And I found myself in the grass and sideways, but luckily I didn't hit anything. I was able to work my way up through there. But the biggest problem today was just watching the engine. I was shifting from like lap 12, shifting 2,000 RPMs early every shift, but I actually didn't lose too much pace from it, so I guess it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, I was just about to ask if that made it difficult to try and chase down Jelenko. You guys seem to have good battles, whether it's in MX-5s or roofs. How do you like switching over to this car for a bit to race?
This car is great to drive. I feel like I can push it a lot more than the MX-5, but they're completely different. But ever since this car came out, I've been trying to drive it as much as possible. So as soon as I saw the invitation to come to this race, I was all over that.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming and talking to us, and awesome job on grabbing a podium today.
Thank you.
Well, this just about concludes our broadcast of our first annual GSRC All-Star Invitational, and we're glad you came and watched us. We had a good time putting this on, and it sounds like a lot of the drivers had a good time. Brian, what were your thoughts on this one?
Well, I mean, there was so many good drivers here, and it just sucks that they had so many of them leave the race because of engine conditions that were not too savory. Some of them were, Dan Rash, Yao Freitas. These are guys I was looking forward to maybe going for a high position and just had to end the race early because of attrition. So, these guys they're basically professionals in their own right. They're gonna bounce back and go to their respective series and continue to impress us, and it'll be even more fun to watch later on now that we've had the chance to see them all on the same track. So, with those closing words, I just want to say thanks for having me down here, Joe. It's been great.
Well, I was glad you could join us to commentate. Kevin, what did you think about this one?
Well, I, too, was definitely bummed that engine failure was the story of this race, but Dacoba Lopez is the other story. The way he just ran away from such a field, that's impressive.
Yeah, I just think he absolutely dominated this thing, and he shows why he is one of the best drivers every time we see him. We are going to close up, and we were thinking about maybe having a little happy birthday with a few of the drivers. We're trying to convince our director to pull them in. I'm not sure that we're actually going to manage to pull that off. But we want to thank a few people. Oh, I think we're pulling them in. We're going to do a happy birthday after we go through the thank yous here. But quick, we want to thank the league organizers, all of them that put on these great series that we broadcast. I'm trying to remember them all. Wes Eric, Bill Zahn, Euron Urson. Help me out here, Kevin.
Bill Zahn, Wes Eric, Euron Yersum, Guido Decker, Neil Heckens, so many that we're forgetting them all.
But again, if we forgot you, we thank you, and we're sorry that we failed to mention your name. But just know that you are valued. We thank our sponsors for this: DigiGraphit, Petrol Data Systems, Silver Designs, and Zon Skins all help put this on. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use: iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio-Technica, and AverMedia. Also, thanks to the team today: Kevin, Giancarlo, Brian, all for helping make this possible. If you'd like to find out more about the Global Sim Racing Channel, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and race highlights. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Special thank you to Eric Ekholm, who provides us with much of our music. You can find it not only here on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and Spotify. If you like our music, tell Eric where you heard it at ericekholm.com. Also, thank you to Casey Lalonde, who provides us with music for the broadcast. You can find more of his music at caseylalonde.bandcamp.com. Our next broadcast is the Piston Cup, the first race that we're going to do for that series at Michigan, Sunday on February 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern. That is tomorrow. Also, coming up next week is the Enduro Pro Series, and that is round 2 at Mid-Ohio. That takes place on Saturday. But before we go, even though I want to wish everyone a good day and tell you to race clean, race hard, and see you on the track, we also want to wish a happy birthday to GSRC. Everyone in the channel, let's say happy birthday. Happy birthday, GSRC. All right, we'll see you guys around. Have an awesome day.